What is up, guys? It's Miggy MIGGY, and we're back at it again with another episode of The Breakdown. We're gonna be doing a back-to-back special. It's gonna be EWC Esports World Cup 2026. We're gonna be talking about MWI today, which is the MLBB Women's Invitational in collaboration with the Esports World Cup 2026. And then later on, we're going to be talking about MSC, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's talk MWI first. And of course, by the time I've uploaded this video, MWI will be a few days away. So this is going to be kind of your checkpoint before we get to more professional MLBB action. Sadly, you guys are just going to be left with me, or maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but of course, I'm still going to be here. Next time, let's have some more guests to join us. But yeah, that will not stop us from discussing and talking about MWI because these girls, these women, do in fact deserve your recognition and, of course, your viewership. And with that being said, let's start breaking it down. Of course, before that, MWI 2026 tournament overview. We're going to be discussing a bit of it's a different type of format. Of course, in EWC, these things, the formats don't really follow the standards of MLBB or MPL. So with that being said, we're here to discuss it. And from the get-go, guys, it's gonna be happening July 14 to 18. So it's gonna be roughly 4 days, and it's gonna be Paris time. So here in the Philippines, if you're here watching locally, they will tend to happen very early on or in the mid-afternoon, nearing dinner. That's probably when the matches are going to be starting. So stay tuned for that. And as you guys could see, tournament overview yet again. We're going to be having two groups. So we're going to be talking about group stages first. There will be 8 teams on both groups, so Group A and Group B. And right off the bat, we're going to start discussing this right now. So in Group A, it's Team Falcons Vega, Seita, a Chinese team, Team Ray Young, Aurora Storm, Geltech Cyber Team, GK Esports, Virtus Pro MENA, Twisted Minds Vietnam, and on the side of Group B, we have Genji Esports, Foot Esports Female, or FE, Team Vitality, MIBR.LOS, Natus Vincere, Philippines, so this is the women's team from the Philippines, Galaxy Phoenix, Falcon Daisies, and Team Falcons Vega MENA. So right from the get-go, guys, as you guys can see, there are 3 Team Falcons, or there are 3 Falcons. But of course, to differentiate them, Team Falcons Vega is, I believe, Team Falcons Vega was the one who won in the Indonesian leg, while Team Falcons Vega MENA, they won in the Africa qualifiers. Falcons Daisy, they are the representatives coming from, let me just fact check myself, of course, from Myanmar. So though they are representing certain countries, or they come from orgs from those certain countries and the qualifiers they got into, of course, they're still distinct teams. I believe it's a structured point system, so it might be different when we're looking at overall champion here in the EWC. But yeah, that's our group. So there's Group A with 8 teams, Group B with 8 teams as well. And not gonna lie, there's, in my opinion, in terms of like competitiveness, a lot, getting a slot in Group B is a lot harder than getting a slot in Group A. This is my opinion, guys. So if you have your own comments, thoughts, and opinions about the MWI, feel free to drop them down in the comments. But of course, this might be a hot take, or it might be a common thought for a lot of people. But that's what I think. I personally think, in my opinion, okay, guys, just making it sure, making sure. I believe that Group B has a harder shot, or you have a harder shot of getting a slot, at least based on my analysis, guys. I know I'm trying to defend myself, or I feel like I'm over defending myself actually, but hear me out. In Group B, you have Genji Esports, you have Team Vitality, and you have Natus Vincere. You guys have multiple MWI winners there. Very competitive. You have Team Vitality, the current defending champion, Genji Esports, the ones from Game and Gladiator, who moved on to Genji Esports. They were the second placers in the last MWI. And of course, not Navi PH or Natus Vincere. They're here as well. So, it's going to be a hard fought match. We're going to be seeing a lot of competitive matches from the right off the bat because Team B is just that competitive. And that more or less means that you really have to duke it out. You really have to make it a point to be super competitive if you want a shot at getting one of the four slots in the group stage here in Group B. On the side of Group A, on the other hand, you guys are seeing, of course, the mainstays are still there. You have your Geltec Cyber Team, Team Falcons Vega, and you have a lot of notable organizations there. But these teams are coming from emerging regions, or rather the smaller regions, of course, so you really have to take into consideration as well the skill level or skill ceiling in those areas. So that's my opinion. But going back to tournament overview, of course, so right off the bat, there are 16 teams. Immediately, it's going to get cut in half, guys. 4 teams will be moving on to the knockout stage. So from 16, they get cut in half. There's 4 fighting it. 8, 4 per team. 8 total. They're going to be duking it out in the knockout stage. And even in the knockout stage, guys, it's not double elimination. So you're basically fighting for your life, your tournament life, every single match you're going to be taking in the knockout stage. And then after that, of course, from the 8, 4 will be moving on to finals, of course. And from the 4, you will have your first, second, and third placer. So there you guys go. So again, this is why it's going to be 4 days of non-stop competitive MLBB, because you have an immediate slicing from 16 to 8. You're going to have the competition, and then you're going to be fighting it out, knockout stage style, tournament life on the line. Every single match you're going to be fighting. So that's MWI 2026, guys. So that's your tournament overview right there. Moving on. Team Spotlight. Of course, we have our Team Spotlight. And it's going to be our grassroots team, our home ground or home bias, I'd say. We are going to be talking about Navi PH. Yes, though they were not the ones who secured the spot in last year's MWI, but it is what it is. It's just so competitive, and you have to give credit where credit is due. Of course, they were there. Let's look at their accolade from previous ones. MWI, though they did lose to the eventual second place finishers of Genji, a 0-2 in a best of 3. It is what it is, but these guys are just really out for blood. These guys are hungry, and of course, they are a star-studded team as well. So, if you guys are looking, you have your... I believe she did a name change, so it's not Ayanami anymore, but it's Ayanami now. If it's not Ayanami, it's Ayanami. You have Keishi. So Ayanami on the XP lane, Keishi in the jungle, Rain in the mid, Rian in the gold lane, and Mirai in the roam position. So 3 of them, not Ayanami, Keishi, and Mirai, they have won MWI before. They have won MWI previously. And now they're looking hungrier. Of course, they want to fight back. They want to get back the crown. And as you guys could see by the post, if you guys are watching, I'll just read it out to you guys. So, 2024, they were the MWI champions, previously representing Smart Omega Empress. In 2025, they were acquired by Navi. They got rebranded. And then, we're now going to be looking at their accolades. Back-to-back champions in the Athena League. In the Philippines, it's your Women's League, MLBB Women's League, and whoever wins this gets to qualify and compete in MWI. And all the while, they were the silver medalist team as well, since they represented the Philippines in the SEA Games last 2025 in Thailand. securing that second place finish as well. So this is our team spotlight. This is Navi PH. They are back with a vengeance. They want to be able to secure a photo finish. They want to be able to get back from their 5th to 8th place finish and end it with a title. And that's why these guys, these women, are our team spotlight. Moving forward to that right after. Let's talk our thoughts and opinions. As you guys can see, our thoughts and opinions, because though they are not here in person or on video, they are here in spirit. So we're gonna be talking about that. I don't want to spoil it, so we'll just get as we get there, or when we get there, we will talk about it. So this is a conversation, MWI x EWC 2026, and our thoughts and opinions. So right off the bat, why do we watch MWI? Or you'd be thinking, why watch MWI when there's a supposedly better MLBB content or competitive leagues out there? Number one, I guess. Personally, I'd watch MWI because MLBB is MLBB. More content is more content. This is one of the biggest tournaments still in our league, and it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, women's championship for MLBB. So of course, you're gonna be looking at the top caliber, cream of the crop players that are women, and of course, you have to support them. You can't just say that you're a supporter of MLBB if you don't support a lot or the whole ecosystem. So with that being said, again, this is the only big MLBB tournament as well during that date, which is July 14 to July 18. So it is worth the watch because number one, they have gone a long way. If you guys are seeing how these women play, they are super competitive, super hungry, and you guys are just there. These guys could fare and match up because a bunch of them actually, we're gonna be spoiling it, but Team Vitality actually played in the MDL in their home region of Malaysia. So let me just fact check myself. Possibly I might be I might have gotten it wrong, but they might have played in MDL Indonesia. Let me just fact check myself. Yes, so they played in MDL Indonesia, and these women play. They know ball. So you have to really give it to them that you have to check them out. They are worth the watch because it's super competitive. It's a different meta, so it's a different viewing experience. So if you are, if you do not like the current meta right now, of course, the way women play or these women play MLBB may just differ or change from the usual men's team. But with it, like it or not, they are still a great watch, and it's I highly recommend you guys watch it because they are super competitive, and you guys will you might just end up getting surprised with all the clippable moments that it is. Because honestly, if you guys have been watching the qualifiers these women went through, they really fought tooth and nail. So you could see how competitive MWI will be, and that's a prediction of mine. So it's not gonna be part of that, but that's a prediction of mine. So that's why I recommend you guys to watch MWI. So moving forward, of course, we're going to be discussing it. As I mentioned, why watch it? Now we're going to be watching MWI, or discussing MWI versus MSC. So MSC is the mid-season championship for the MPL community. This is just the midway point to lead up to the M series. All the while, MWI is more or less the pinnacle of women's MLBB. And so there's going to be a lot of discussions or comparisons, of course. So I just want to go through it, or at least talk to you guys about my thoughts and opinions about it. So a lot of people would compare it, as I mentioned, even I was talking about how it compares to MSC. And the fact of the matter is, it really shouldn't, at least in my opinion, guys. Though they are both in MLBB, it's as if it becomes a way that people start discussing it as if it was MPL versus MDL, when it's not the case. These organizations or these tournaments are a league of their own. To compare them is as if you're comparing two different, I guess, what's a good metaphor for it? You're basically comparing two types of apples, I guess. So there's the red apple, of course, the sweet one, the sweet and crisp, and then the green apple, which is known to be a bit more sour. So they're both apples, but one is a different flavor, and the other one is about it. So it becomes a matter of preference. So MWI and MSC, they are both apples. You could enjoy them both, but you're still gonna have a preference because certain gameplay would entice you to watch the other, and that's why there's that comparison exists. But aside from, I guess, from the base level of things, tournament format different, and then gameplay is gonna be different, of course, because the way the women's team in MWI understand the meta or how they adjust to the gameplay is very different from the way the men's team or the MSC teams play. So that's one of the biggest differences. That's why I say that they're both apples. Though you could like you they're both apples. If you like apples, you like apples. But if you're looking for a distinct flavor, that's when MSC and MWI happen. You could enjoy both of them, but you shouldn't compare them to each other. That's to ultimately say that one apple is better than the other. So the same way with these things, MSC is not gonna be more competitive than NWI because there's a certain standard involved when it comes to these things. So there's a skill. Those are the considerations you're gonna be looking at: skill ceiling. But that's why I wanted to put this in the breakdown, because with how competitive MWI teams have become, you're gonna expect the same jam-packed level of action with MSC. More or less, you're gonna be seeing the meta unfold in MWI before we even get to MSC, because these teams scrim with each other. So these teams kind of understand. These teams are coming from big orgs as well, with MSC teams playing. So you know that the way they're gonna be understanding the meta, the way they discuss it, the way they talk about it, they've probably mixed in, exchanged ideas. So that's why I think that if you wanna really absorb MLBB content, competitive MLBB content, you have to watch both, because we're gonna be seeing meta unfold with MWI. You don't to say that, just because they're women means that it's not gonna be as active and jam packed. You should see the way these women played. You should see how these teams play. To say that just because they're women means that it's gonna be a slower game, you're not. These players, if you guys have seen the women's pro scene evolve, you will see that there are high mechanic players within the community. You will see how competitive they are. You'll see the way they play. You won't be questioning if it's not going to be a question of gender. It's going to be a question of skill ceiling. And that's the best part of that's why I wanted to put this out here, to dispel that stereotype, I guess. But of course, it's a different caliber because, of course, we're looking at MSC. MSC is just the midway point of the MLBB pro scene for a lot of the teams. But you guys have to consider, in the M series, that we might be seeing MWI or women's team being involved in the M series in the future. So you just have to wait and see. And that's why this is here. We are going to be looking at the bigger picture, but that's why MWI, MSC. So just to quickly wrap it up, MWI basically tournament format is different. MSC halfway point before we get to the M series. And to discuss both of these tournaments, the way they weigh. So MWI is the pinnacle of MLBB women's tournaments, while MSC is just a halfway, as I mentioned. And to compare them to each other, I guess on my end, it's a mistake to call it versus as well. But That's why this is up for discussions, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts if about how you guys would compare MWI and MSC, because the metaphor I used were two apples. One is a red apple, one is a green apple. Though they are both apples, they have a different flavor and they have a different market. Therefore, to say one apple is better than the other is it all boils down to preference. And because, as I said, to say or argue that it MWI is less competitive than MSC is a big wrong statement, or a loaded statement, because you have to consider the skill cap or skill ceiling of these leagues, and of course the way the gameplay unravels and evolves. And chances are MWI versus MSC, since MWI is coming in first, you guys are gonna get to see this first. This is where meta will start unraveling for our MSC MWI x EWC tournament. So just you have to wait and see for that. And then of course, this is when we start talking about it. Since we were talking about the competitiveness of each team, here is the biggest change, I guess, compared to MWI and MSC. They allowed, they allowed, even though I don't think they had to allow them, Team Vitality makes a return in the MWI. From my records, I have to fact check. I believe that the title defender was given an immediate invite to play in the MWI 2026. So if you won 2025, you're gonna play 2026 with the addendum, or with the terms of maintaining your lineup, and which they did. They still have Fumieko or Fumi, Vival, Cine, Shell, and of course the queen of tanks, or rather the mother of tanks, Vivian. So they are going to be representing, though they are Bigatron by Vitality ladies, they will be representing Team Vitality in MWI 2026. So that's the biggest change. I believe that they were immediately invited, or they had an automatic slot into MWI 2026, because they did in fact win 2025. And I'm excited to see how they play, because if you're going to be looking at their stats, actually, guys, they're just unstoppable. They've been winning left and right. So they won, except MDL Indonesia Season 12. They have been winning nonstop in the women's pro scene. So they won after their loss to Omega Empress in 2024. That was when Navi PH won, or members of Navi PH won. They proceeded to win International Female Legends Season 2, Battle of Gamehurst Season 1, and then they won MWI 2025, sorry, and Battle of Gamehurst Season 2. So right now, they are really the top of the food chain. They are the apex predator of a team. They are Team Vitality. And I'm curious to see how they're going to be competing in MWI. Of course, I mentioned that the MWI scene has just become more competitive, and it's always being brought up by the casters and talents that every single year, every season, MLBB just gets more competitive. And this is by far one of the most competitive seasons and years MLBB has had. And we are looking forward to a more competitive season following this MWI. And I'm excited to see, because I wonder how it's going to affect them, knowing that there's the pressure of defending the title. There's the pressure that they have to showcase that they are deserving of the spot, because, again, they were automatically given the spot. But based on the showcase, guys, based on the previous tournaments, 4 tournaments, 4 first place finishes minus the MDL Indonesia one. But it is what it is. Again, these guys are the title defenders. They are there. Very excited to see them. Of course, with the return of utility roaming, I wonder how the queen of tanks, the mother of tanks, will be faring if the meta suddenly shifted into more of the healers, more of the Matildas, right? So we just have to wait and see. And of course, shout out to Fumieko. Still cannot forget her because she played a really, really mean Arlot in the last MWI 2025. So those are my thoughts on the return of the defending champions, Team Vitality. And now we're moving on to what I said, that they may not be here in person or in video, we are here. The breakdown, talents, thoughts, the favored, the bias, and the dark horse. So, as you guys could see, though they are not here, hopefully we get them in the following videos or the following breakdowns. We're here. I'm gonna talk about my favored, bias, and dark horse. I'm gonna talk about bipolars because they sent me their notes, and Gratians as well. So before we start getting into the teams and naming the teams, of course, what do we mean by the favored, the bias, the dark horse? So I know that the favored and the bias, they kind of sound redundant, but there's an idea, or there's a logic behind why I called it that, or why I called it this part of the video. So the favored is basically the team expecting, or statistically speaking, or data wise, based on historical data. Wow, historical data. Again, thoughts and opinions, guys. But of course, these are not just random guesses and wild guesses, wild opinions, right? Again, my fellow talents here are analysts for MLBB, so they know what they are talking about. So the favored basically is, historically speaking, or historical data wise, these guys, the team that we chose for this one would be the team that we, based on everything we've seen, not logically speaking, no emotions involved, of course. Maybe a bit for bipolar, but it's the gameplay we've been seeing from all the teams. That's the favored. The bias is basically, this is where emotions come into play. It's the team we hope to win. So the favored is the team everyone expects to win, or we expect to win. But the bias is the team we hope to win. And the dark horse is, of course, the dark horse. These are your unexpected teams, and these teams are the ones who are in it to, I guess, in a way, these are the teams to watch as well. And so with that being said, that's basically the favor, the bias, and the dark horse. So before we get into, of course, bipolar and Gratian's thoughts, who by the way are both casters from the Athena League, season 1 and season 2. So they've been watching the local Philippine women's pro scene actively, because they were both casters and talents for both Athena League seasons, wherein the representative from the Philippines, or the region, or the PH region, came from, which happened to be both, I believe, both Navi and Navi again for the past 2 years. So with that being said, of course, giving the background on them, we have to talk about the talents as well. But on my end, let me just scroll through to Bipolar's answers just to get ready. So the favored, of course, my favored pick would be Team Vitality. Of course, based on the data, as I mentioned, as I was glazing them already a while ago, aside from Navi Philippines, of course, one of our team spotlights, the favored would be Team Vitality, of course, because these guys are the returning champions, currently winning 3 times. Aside from Fumi, of course. Fumi won it twice, but Vival, Cine, Shell, and Vivian have won it 3 times. Won MWI 3 times. And their current record, guys, from the last one, Gamehurst, Season 2, which happened around, let me just check, because this happened fairly recently, guys. So it happened around, the end date was June 17. So it was a month from MWI, and they were already hot and competitive there. Hot as in, they were fired up, they were very focused up, they were a threatening team, they were the team to beat, and even now they are the team to beat. That's why I put them in the favored. The bias, of course, Navi MLBB PH, or Navi PH. Why? Basically, of course, Philippines represent, that's one. And I'd say they're hungry. If you're looking at plot armor, if you're looking at a storyline, Navi PH has it. You have a somewhat new team, or rather a team that stay stuck and stayed together because they are united in that one goal of securing that MWI title for once again as a team. Because of course Ayanami, Keishi, and Mirai, they've already secured it, but of course they're still hungry for that. And of course Rain and Rian, they're out for blood. They want to get their first title, and that's why Navi PH is my bias. And I think they have what it takes because of the number one, the patch might, it might potentially be in their favor. Of course, we have yet to see the meta unravel and unfold, so we really can't tell. But the way they've been playing their games, they've been uber competitive. That's why they've won Athena League Season 1, that's why they've won Season 2, and that's why they're representing the Philippines yet again. The players, I believe Ayanami has like this friendly rivalry with Vivian, though they are not in the same role. They kind of have, these guys, these girls, these women are kind of like the stars, or the ones to look up to in their respective regions in terms of the pro scene in the women's leagues, and that's why Navi PH is my bias. Moving on, this is kind of I know you guys are seeing the Aurora here, the Aurora game logo or Aurora organization logo, but just hear me out. So this team is Aurora Storm. They came from Mongolia. They were the champions in the ESN. They were first placers. And why did I put them as the dark horse? Really, it's kind of like a shot in the dark. Of course, that's why it's the dark horse. They are the unexpected team because I feel that they're gonna be showing us something new. They're gonna be showing us something something unique to their region. Because if you guys watch the MSC wildcards, the Mongolian teams, the Mongols, the Huns, they were just really competitive. They were just showing their own take on the MLBB competitive scene, their own meta. They were the ones who debuted the Herrera. They were to the point that they were getting respect band. Though they did not win a wild card slot, sadly. And though congrats to Team Falcons Mena for that, because they fought tooth and nail. They would lose their first game, but much like the main character, after losing the first game, they develop, they get they get stronger, and they suddenly just sweep it all. And that's why I think I put Aurora Storm as the dark horse here, because the region, that emerging region, Mongolia, is just showing so much promise, and I think this will rub off on Aurora Storm. So those are my takes. So that's my favorite would be Team Vitality. Of course, they're the defending champions. The bias, Navi PH, because Navi PH. The dark horse would be Aurora Storm. So because Mongolia has just been showing so much promise as an emerging region, and that's my take. That's the favorite, the bias, and the dark horse. So of course, though they're not here, we're gonna be talking about the insights coming from Bipolar and Gretchen. So right off the bat, as you guys can see, hashtag no bias yet again coming from Mr. Bipolar himself. He mentioned that his favorite and his bias have been Navi PH. When we've been talking to him, we would be discussing off cam, off stream, our thoughts on the MWI lineups, and his biggest conversation or his biggest topic would always be Navi PH having what it takes this season, this year in the MWI to actually take the title. They've just been showing so much promise, and the build-up has been, the storyline has been, they've been second fiddle to Team Vitality, and maybe it's time. This is the timing they were waiting for, and that's why Bipolar, based on the gameplay he's watched, the streams he's done, of course he shoutcasted them as well in the Athena League. So he really got up close and personal with these players, and from seeing how it went, he might be seeing something we're not seeing. So of course, no spoilers. We're not gonna be leaking any stats or data. Maybe we don't have it. So yeah, that's Bipolar putting his doubling down on Navi PH as the favorite and the bias. And this is his take actually. So his dark horse, his dark horse is Seta. Seta is a relatively new team. Relatively, let me just check when they started. So the organization was created 2024, but their MLBB team has only been active this year. So they come from the China region, and that's why a lot of people are putting them as their dark horse because we've seen how competitive China is in multiple or different esports titles, and MLBB is no different because this is only recently they started joining and building Chinese teams to compete in the MLBB ecosystem. And the way Bipolar described it is you really have to watch Seta play. That was his biggest point. Like if you could put it in all caps, he said, "Bro, you have to watch them play." So if you're gonna be looking at a China qualifier, if you're gonna be looking at the China qualifier, it's two teams, I believe. Yeah. So they fielded two teams, Title Legends Gaming and Seta. Seta won 2-0, and they had a very unique take on the meta. So that's why I highly recommend you guys also check out Seta. I want to hear your thoughts as well. If you guys think that Seta is a dark horse, because personally, I see it as well. Though I'm just leaning towards Mongolia or Aurora Storm as the more low-key emerging region. China is a big region, but it's only emerging in the MLBB scene. But the way Bipolar described it, you have to watch it. You have to watch their gameplay, and we've seen how these guys are, how China has been very competitive in the esports titles, and maybe Seta is no different from there. So you guys have to watch, and that was the way Bipolar really described why he chose Seta as the dark horse on his team or his list. So again, the favorite, the bias for Bipolar, it's both Navi Philippines. The dark horse is Seta for him coming from the China region. Moving on, of course, Gretchen Namundo. Gretchen has been very particular with her thoughts on the stuff. So we agree on the favorite and the bias. So the favorite for Gretchen is Team Vitality because they've been a staple in the women's pro scene, really, as you guys saw. 3-time MWI champions, 2-time for Fumi, but they have just been a powerhouse, a dominant game leader here in the women's scene here in MLBB, and they've been competitive enough to be part of the MDL League of Indonesia, so they could face and put a fight up against these MPL teams as well, or these MSC potential MSC teams. So that's why she brought it up that Team Vitality is there. They put themselves in a hyperbolic chamber. If you get that reference, maybe I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, the anti-gravity hyperbolic chamber from DBZ. If you get that, they've just been, so they didn't settle, or they weren't, what's that word? They weren't complacent with being the champion last year. They were still looking for ways to grow, and that is why that's why Gretchen put Team Vitality as her favorite. And then the bias, Navi PH, same reasons as all three of us. Philippines represent. And of course, again, Gretchen was part of the talent lineup to watch Navi PH play during the Athena Leagues. So if you guys got to watch them play, they've just been very dominant as well. And you really have to see how they play. So that's why there's the whole plot armor idea, plot armor theory, the way they are just very hungry to win. And they had a dominant showing. They beat Team Falcons Vega Philippines 4-0 in the best of 7. So that's why Gretchen's bias is Navi PH. And of course, this is where we had a conversation actually. So she mentioned Genji. Yeah, it's weird to maybe to some. So her dark horse is Genji. And usually the definition of a dark horse, right, is the unexpected. The unexpected, actually, let's just do that, right? We could just talk about it. So the dark horse by Google definition. But of course, the dark horse is basically an underdog or unexpected competitor. So she mentioned Genji because number one, we were talking about this because Genji has the players from majority of the players coming from Gaming Gladiator, and Gaming, as we all know, Gaming Gladiator, they were the second placers in MWI MWI 2025. And if you're gonna be looking at it, they should supposedly be one of the favorite or the bias, right? But she mentioned her dark horse to be Genji because it's the same story as Team Liquid. As long as the three original members are there, it will either strengthen or weaken them type of thing. Or the idea that with our current meta, that's why a lot of, if you guys are in the know in the meta, basically the big three or the trio mid or the 4+1. So the trio mid is your mid lane, your roam, and your XP or your jungler. But here in the side, so the trio mid or the four horsemen, because of Team Liquid, basically, if you have your strong status, so that's your, I believe that is XP jungle and mid lane. XP jungle mid lane or interchangeable XP and roam. So your strong trio basically says that as long as they're together, it's a strong team. Because majority, if the 3 out of the 5 players work well, right, that's majority. And that's why it's a conversation, or it's gonna be, she made them her dark horse because she has this, she feels that they are counted out because though they were second placers in MWI, it was a different story because you're not running the same complete lineup. You took out, I believe, Nicolette. Nicolette was taken out of the lineup. So from Gaming Gladiators, they used to have. So they're the dark horse as well because they got 4-0 by Team Vitality, but the player they lost, I believe, have been, so the ones that stayed, Arya, Panda, and Sayori and Ashley. So 4 of them stayed the same. So what changed was their jungler. So Nicolette is no longer their jungler. They have a new jungler in the form of Rui. Rui is from Indonesia, but they've been showing a pretty strong team. So it might be a different variation of what Gaming Gladiator used to be, but Genji is pretty competitive, and that's why I guess Gretchen put them as her dark horse, just for the fact that though they may have been the second placers from 2025, they lost to 0-4, and you're looking at a different lineup, a different team altogether, because even changing one team member kind of changes the team dynamic. And that's why she put Genji as the dark horse, because it's a challenge, I guess. In a way, it's a challenge because she wants to see how they're gonna go. And of course, she wanted to side note as well, or add in, she put in a PS. Side note, she's looking forward to checking out or watching Virtus Pro Mena and Team Falcons because there are Filipino representatives there. So good luck to them as well. And that's gonna be it. That's all our opinions. So you guys got to see the favorites, the bias, and the dark horses. And that's gonna be That's gonna be our thoughts and opinions coming forward to or getting into MWI EWC. So just a quick run through. We're gonna be having this yet again. So it's gonna be 16 teams duking it out for 4 days, guys. We're gonna cut this in half already. So from 16 teams to 88 teams. And then it's gonna be battling for your tournament life because there's no double elims here. It's gonna be knockouts. And it's gonna be, in my opinion, Killbox group is Team B, Group B. And of course, you have to watch it. And that's gonna be it for the breakdown. So if you guys have the time, this is around, if you're here listening or watching this in the Philippines, this is gonna be happening July 14 to 18 Paris time, so around the afternoon here in the Philippines of the same date. So it's gonna be happening in the afternoon. You guys should watch it because of course MLBB content is MLBB content. It's gonna be the unraveling or unfolding of the potential EWC MLBB meta. So stay tuned for that. And of course, these women, super competitive. It's going to be worth the watch. My prediction is we're going to be seeing a lot of full games in the knockout stage. A few 2-0s here and there probably in the group stage, but I feel that majority will be full games of either 3s, 5s, and 7, of course. Depending on the championships, of course. Predictions, it's anyone's game, honestly. Whoever wakes up better, whoever feels like they're gonna have a better day, that's who's gonna win. I don't want to spoil it too much, of course. And of course, we're gonna be casting it as well or co-streaming it, so stay tuned for that. And again, that has been an episode of The Breakdown. And our topic has been MWI x EWC 2026, the MLBB Women's Invitational 2026. And this has been your host, I guess, your content creator, Miggy, MIGGY. And if you like this type of content, do like, share, and subscribe. It helps our page grow, get more views. And of course, if you guys have your own thoughts and opinions about MWI, and we could have a respectful discussion, you can write them down in the comments below. And if you like this type of media, this content, if you want to stay updated, really updated with what we've been doing or what I've been doing, check out my social media links in the description box down below. Again, it's Miggy, MIGGY, and this has been an episode of The Breakdown talking about MWI, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.